The fluorescent lights of the corner bar buzzed like angry hornets, casting a sickly pallor over the sticky wooden tables. Nicholas slammed his beer mug down, foam sloshing over the rim, and pointed a thick finger at Brandon's chest. "You're a goddamn disgrace. You hear me? Parading around like some fairy in front of the whole neighborhood. Dad would roll over in his grave if he saw this shit." Brandon's heart jackhammered against his ribs, the words landing like punches he couldn't dodge. He was 25, fresh out of the closet after years of choking on secrets, and here was his big brother, 32, built like a linebacker from their high school glory days, ripping him open in front of half the regulars at O'Malley's, the dive where every blue-collar Joe from Southside Chicago nursed their regrets. "You think you're special, huh? Some kind of victim, 'cause you like dick?" Nicholas's voice rose, drawing stares from the grizzled vets at the pool table. A low chuckle rippled through the crowd, and Brandon felt the heat crawl up his neck, his fists clenching under the table. He'd come here tonight hoping for a truce, a beer shared like the old days when they tossed a football in the empty lot behind their mom's bungalow. But Nicholas had shown up 3 sheets to the wind, eyes bloodshot from whatever demon chased him after his latest divorce. Brandon shoved back his stool, the scrape echoing like a gunshot. "I'm not asking for your blessing, Nick. Just a brother who doesn't treat me like I'm diseased." He grabbed his jacket, the leather one he'd splurged on with his first paycheck from the graphic design gig downtown, and stormed toward the door. Rain pelted the sidewalk outside, turning the cracked pavement into a mirror of smeared neon signs. He didn't look back, but he heard Nicholas's bellow, "Don't you walk away from me, you little shit," chasing him into the night. That was 6 months ago, and the scar still burned. Brandon wiped the fog from the bathroom mirror in his cramped Wicker Park apartment, the steam from his shower clinging to the air like unresolved tension. He stared at his reflection, lean frame from weekend runs along the lakefront, tousled brown hair that refused to stay put, green eyes that his ex had called troublemakers. Trouble. Yeah, that summed up his life since coming out. Mom had hugged him tight, whispered prayers over her rosary beads. But Nicholas? He'd turned into a storm cloud, dark and unrelenting. Work was his anchor. Pixel Forge, a scrappy ad agency squeezed between hipster coffee shops on Milwaukee Avenue. Brandon lost himself in layouts and logos. His boss, Elena, a no-nonsense Latina with a tattoo of Frida Kahlo on her forearm, had spotted his talent early. "Kid, you've got fire," she'd said, sliding him the Reynolds account, a craft beer brand gunning for national shelves. Late nights hunched over his MacBook, caffeine-fueled sketches blooming into bold campaigns. That's where he felt alive. Free. But freedom came with ghosts. His phone buzzed on the sink. "Mom again. Call your brother. He's been off." Family dinner Sunday, Brandon sighed, toweling off. Nicholas worked construction, framing skeletons of luxury condos that dotted the skyline like arrogant teeth. He was the golden boy once, quarterback, prom king, the one who stayed when Dad's heart attack left them shattered. Now, divorced twice, drowning in alimony and bar tabs, Nicholas lashed out at anything soft, including Brandon. Sunday loomed like a guillotine. The family home in Bridgeport hadn't changed. Sagging front porch, Virgin Mary statue in the postage stamp yard, the scent of Mom's percolating coffee mingling with the faint tang of motor oil from Dad's old garage. Brandon pulled up in his beat-up Honda, the engine coughing like it sympathized. Nicholas's truck was already there, a Ford F-150 jacked up on mud tires, a Packers sticker peeling on the bumper. Inside, the kitchen hummed with forced normalcy. Mom fussed over the roast, her silver-streaked hair pinned back, while Nicholas slouched at the table, nursing a Miller Lite. "Hey, queer," he grunted by way of greeting, not looking up from his phone. "Nick," Brandon replied evenly, hanging his coat. Mom shot him a pleading glance, "Don't poke the bear," and plated the mashed potatoes. Dinner dragged. Small talk about the Cubs' losing streak, Aunt Rita's hip surgery, the neighbor's yapping dog. Under the table, Brandon's knee bounced, the air thick with unspoken barbs. Cracked open over dessert. Mom's apple pie, still steaming, sat innocent on the floral china. Nicholas forked a slab, then fixed Brandon with a smirk. "So, how's the fairy tale going? Got a Prince Charming yet? Or still swiping right on Grindr?" Mom's fork clattered. "Nicholas," Brandon's cheeks flamed, but he met his brother's gaze. "Better than chasing skirts that run away, bro. At least I'm honest about who I am." The room went arctic. Nicholas's jaw ticked, veins bulging in his neck. "Honest? You're a walking punchline. Remember that time in high school? You staring at the locker room like a perv? Dad knew. He fucking knew and it killed him." "Liar," Brandon whispered, the word tasting like ash. Dad had died mid-laugh at a White Sox game, clutching his chest, not from shame. But Nicholas barreled on, voice rising to a roar. "You think you're the only one hurting? I carried this family, while you pranced off to art school, dreaming of rainbows." He shoved back, chair toppling, and stormed out, the screen door slamming like a verdict. Mom reached for Brandon's hand, her eyes wet. "He's lost, baby. Ever since Sarah left. Give him time, time." Brandon drove home through sheets of rain, the wipers slashing like accusations. His phone lit up, a text from Elena. "Big news. Reynolds loves the mock-ups. Drinks Friday to celebrate. Bring that cute friend from accounting." He managed a half-smile. Cute friend, Javier, with his easy laugh and dimples that could melt steel. They'd flirted over vending machine runs, Javier's hand brushing his once, sending sparks up Brandon's arm. Friday at the Empty Bottle, a gritty rock joint on Western Avenue, the agency crew packed a corner booth. Craft IPAs flowed, indie bands thrummed from the stage, the air smoky with possibility. Javier slid in beside him, thigh pressing warm against Brandon's. "Heard you nailed the pitch. Hero of the hour." Brandon shrugged, heat pooling low. "Team effort. You gonna make me by the next round?" Javier's grin was wicked. "Only if you dance with me later." They did slow, bodies sinking to a cover of the National, Javier's breath ghosting Brandon's ear. It was electric, uncomplicated, a bomb on raw nerves. Back at Javier's walk-up in Logan Square, clothes shed like inhibitions, they tumbled into bed. Javier's hands mapped him like uncharted territory, murmurs of beautiful and stay weaving through the dark. For the first time in months, Brandon slept without the weight of his brother's scorn. But dawn brought reality. Javier stirred, kissing his shoulder. Last night was... wow. Coffee, over mugs of bitter brew on the fire escape, overlooking fire hydrants and chain-link fences. They talked. Javier was from Pilsen, a teacher at a charter school, out since 16. Family's cool now, but it wasn't easy. My abuelita still crosses herself when I mention dates. Brandon nodded, sharing snippets of Nicholas's venom. Javier listened, thumb tracing circles on his wrist. Sounds like he's projecting. Hurt people. You know? Yeah, Brandon murmured, leaning in for a lazy kiss. But damn, it stings. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Stolen lunches at Manny's Deli, movie nights at the Music Box Theater. Javier's laughter filling the voids Nicholas left. Love crept in quiet, like Lake Michigan fog, subtle, enveloping. Brandon introduced him to Mom over pierogies. She beamed, calling him that sweet boy with the smile. Nicholas remained a shadow, texts unanswered, calls to voicemail. Then, the call came at 2 a.m., shattering the fragile peace. Mom's voice, frantic through sobs. Brandon, it's Nick. Accident on the site. He's in the ER at Rush. Hurry, please. Brandon's world tilted. He threw on jeans, heart pounding as he raced through sleeping streets, rain-slicked roads reflecting ambulance lights. Rush University Medical Center loomed like a monolith, all glass and urgency. In the waiting room, Mom paced, rosary clicking, her face a map of worry lines. What happened? Brandon pulled her into a hug. Beam collapsed. Crushed his leg. They're operating now, internal bleeding, they said. She clutched him tighter. He asked for you. Before they wheeled him in, Nicholas, asking for him, the irony twisted like a knife. Hours dragged, coffee turning to sludge in styrofoam cups. Doctors emerged, surgery successful, but complications, blood clot, possible infection. He's stable, the surgeon said, but it's touch and go. When they let him in, Nicholas lay pale against starched sheets, monitors beeping a mechanical lullaby. Tubes snaked from his arm, his right leg elevated in a cage of metal. His eyes, usually stormy, were dull, rimmed red. Brand, he rasped, voice gravel. Didn't think you'd come. Brandon sank into the vinyl chair, throat tight. Family, right? What did you expect? A ghost of a smile. Guess I earned that. Silence stretched, heavy as the foredrip. Then, softer, I'm sorry. For the bar. For everything. I didn't mean half of it. Brandon searched his face, seeing cracks in the armor, the divorce scars, the loneliness etched in crow's feet. Why, Nick? Why the hate? Nicholas looked away, jaw working. Not hate. Fear. For you. This world's a meat grinder for guys like us. Us. The word hung. Pregnant. Brandon's pulse stuttered. What? But Nicholas waved it off, eyes closing. Tired. Talk later. Later came in fragments. Nicholas spiking a fever, delirium muttering Dad's name, pleas for forgiveness that weren't for Brandon. Nurses bustled, antibiotics flowed, and through it all, Javier appeared like a lighthouse, holding Brandon's hand in the cafeteria, bringing empanadas from his mom's kitchen. You're his rock, Javier said one night, as they crashed in a Ronald McDonald house room, the city humming beyond thin walls. Even if he doesn't see it yet, Brandon kissed him fierce, grateful. I love you. You know that. Javier's eyes softened. Yeah. Me too. Recovery crawled. Nicholas transferred to rehab at Shirley Ryan, a fortress of therapy gyms overlooking the Chicago River. Brandon visited twice weekly, navigating traffic snarls and his own resentment. Their talks deepened. Childhood fishing trips at Lake Calumet, the night Dad died, how Nicholas had shouldered the funeral costs by dropping community college. "I envied you," Nicholas admitted one afternoon, sweat slick from PT, his leg a Frankenstein of pins and braces. "Always drawing, dreaming big. I got stuck in the mud." Brandon squeezed his hand, the first voluntary touch in years. "You're not stuck." "Not anymore," but shadows lingered. Nicholas dodged the us slip, changing subjects to White Sox trades or Mom's garden. Brandon let it lie, focusing on Javier, their first weekend getaway to Door County, cherry pies and bonfires where Javier whispered futures. A place of their own, maybe adoption someday. Then, the bomb dropped. A week before Nicholas's discharge, in the sterile consult room with its anatomical posters and box of tissues, the doctor laid out scans on a tablet. "Mr. Kowalski, we've identified the source of the recurrent fevers. It's not just infection." Nicholas's face drained. Brandon gripped the chair arms. "You're HIV positive," the doc continued, voice clinical. "Likely long-standing, but the trauma accelerated symptoms. With antiretrovirals, you'll manage fine. Modern meds are game changers." Silence imploded. Nicholas stared at the floor, fists balled. "How? Exposure history? We'll test partners, but focus on treatment now." Brandon's mind reeled. HIV? His brother? The homophobe? Exposed how? The pieces clicked. The us. The venom masking terror. Nicholas wasn't just angry, he was terrified of his own reflection. The drive back to the rehab facility was a blur of honking taxis and pedestrian crossings, the loop's chaos mirroring the storm in Brandon's chest. Nicholas rode shotgun, silent as a tomb, the printout of his diagnosis crumpled in his lap like a guilty secret. Brandon gripped the wheel, knuckles white, the skyline blurring through unshed tears. How long had Nick carried this? Years? Since before the first divorce, when he'd come home reeking of cheap perfume and cheaper regret. They pulled into the parking garage, the echo of tires on concrete amplifying the unspoken. Nicholas finally broke. "Don't tell Mom." "Not yet." Brandon killed the engine, turning. "She's gonna find out. Tests. Meds. She's not blind." "I know." Nicholas rubbed his face, stubble rasping. "Just let me figure how to say it. Christ. Brand. This is my mess." "Your mess." Brandon's voice cracked. "You've been shoving mine down my throat for years. Calling me the freak. The one who'd bring shame. And all along." "Stop." Nicholas's eyes flashed. Old fire. "You think I wanted this? Woke up one day and chose to be a walking time bomb? It was that summer after Dad. Some guy at a bar in Boys Town thought it was a one-off, a way to blow off steam. Woke up different. Scared shitless." Brandon's breath hitched. Boys Town, the epicenter of Chicago's gay scene. Rainbow flags snapping in the wind along Halsted. Nicholas. Straight arrow Nick. Drowning grief in anonymity. "Why didn't you say anything? We could've. Helped? Like what?" "Hold my hand through the clinic wait." A bitter laugh. "I buried it. Married Sarah to prove I was normal. Then Lisa. But the fear twisted everything. Seeing you come out, so brave, Gutted me. Made me hate what I saw in you myself. The confession hung, raw and ragged. Brandon reached over, clasping his brother's forearm, the skin warm, veined from years of hauling rebar. You're not a monster, Nick. You're human. Messy as hell, but human. Nicholas nodded, a single tear carving a path. Yeah. And you're stuck with me. Discharge day dawned crisp. October leaves skittering across Michigan Avenue like confetti for a parade no one attended. Mom arrived with her old station wagon, stuffed with Tupperware of Galabki and a quilt from Grandma's hope chest. She fussed over Nicholas's crutches, oblivious to the undercurrent, chattering about repainting his apartment to cheer it up. Brandon trailed, Javier at his side, unspoken permission to join the convoy. At Nicholas's place, a third-floor walk-up in Pilsen with peeling wallpaper and a view of freight trains rumbling past. They settled him in. Javier unpacked groceries, his quiet efficiency a godsend, while Mom fluffed pillows. Boys, she said, surveying them like a general. Family meeting after lunch. No arguments. Lunch was strained. Sandwiches from the corner bodega, the TV droning Bears highlights. Nicholas picked at his turkey club. Appetite fled. When plates cleared, he cleared his throat. Ma, sit. Got something to tell you. Her face fell, rosary fingers twisting. Is it the leg? Cancer. Worse. Nicholas's voice steadied, drawing from some reservoir Brandon didn't know he had. He laid it out. The accident, the diagnosis, the hidden years. Mom listened, stone still, then crumpled into sobs that shook her frame. My boy. Oh, God. My boy. She pulled him close, rocking like he was 5 again. Scraped knee from kickball. Nicholas broke then, ugly cries muffled in her shoulder. Brandon watched from the doorway, Javier's arm around his waist, a steady anchor. When the storm passed, Mom wiped her eyes. We'll fight this. Together. Church, doctors, whatever it takes. No sermons, Nicholas muttered, half-smile emerging. Deal, deal, she turned to Brandon. And you, proud of you for being here. For forgiving. Brandon swallowed hard. Family. Ma. The weeks that followed were a grindstone, sharpening edges. Nicholas started meds, pills that turned his tongue metallic. Appointments at Howard Brown Clinic crammed between PT sessions. Brandon ferried him, using sick days from Pixel Forge. Javier tagging along with playlists of Springsteen and Seeger to cut the tension. One evening, post-blood work, they hit a diner on 18th Street, neon sign flickering Maria's, Formica counters scarred from decades of coffee rings. Over patty melts and fries, Nicholas probed. You and Javier serious? Brandon nodded, dipping a fry. Yeah. He's good. Real. Nicholas studied him, something soft in his gaze. Deserve that. After the shit I pulled. Forgiven, Brandon said simply. Mostly. A chuckle. Fair. Javier excused himself for a call, leaving them in companionable quiet. Nicholas leaned in. That night at the bar, I was spiraling. Lisa just filed, work sucking, and then you show up, all put together. Triggered everything. Brandon nodded. I get it now. But it hurt like hell. Won't happen again. Of like. Then, tentative, ever think about telling people about me? You mean coming out? As by Or whatever. Brandon kept his tone light. Nicholas shrugged. Doesn't have a label. Just me. But yeah. The diner door jingled. Javier sliding back in with a grin. Boss wants me for lesson plans. You too good. Golden, Nicholas said. And for the first time, it rang true. Holiday season crashed in like a freight train. Thanksgiving turkey at Mom's, strung with white lights and Polish carols on the old radio. Javier integrated seamlessly, charming Mom with stories of his students' mischief, helping Nicholas navigate the uneven floors on his improving gait. Boxing Day, the four of them bundled against the wind, strolled the magnificent mile, windows ablaze with twinkling displays. Nicholas bought Brandon a leather-bound sketchbook for your next big thing, and Javier a vintage Cubs jersey, tags still on. New Year's Eve found them at a queer-friendly bash in Andersonville, snow dusting the streets like powdered sugar. Nicholas hung back at first, nursing a ginger ale, meds, and booze a no-go, but Brandon pulled him onto the dance floor, Javier whooping encouragement. Bodies swayed to pulsing synth, confetti raining, and for a moment, Nicholas laughed, free, unburdened. But cracks spiderwebbed. Whispers at the construction yard. Kowalski's queer. Figures. After that limp-wrist brother. Nicholas overheard. Came home seething, punching the fridge until his knuckles split. They think it's contagious or some bullshit. Brandon found him icing his hand. Javier brewing tea. Ignore him. Or own it. Own it, Nicholas scoffed. Easy for you, poster boy. Javier stepped up. Calm. Not easy. But hiding, that's what eats you alive. The words landed. Nicholas deflated, nodding. Yeah. You're right. Spring thawed the ice. Nicholas returned to light duty, framing beams with a cane's tap-tap rhythm. His T-cells climbed. Viral load a whisper miracle of science. Mom called it, crediting St. Jude. Brandon's Reynolds campaign launched to buzz. Billboards along I-90. Viral TikToks of bearded bros clinking bottles. Elena threw a launch party at the Violet Hour. Craft cocktails in speakeasy dimness. Javier proposed there, casual as breathing, down on one knee amid cheers, a simple silver band glinting. Marry me, Brand, make this forever. Tears pricked. Hell yes, Nicholas, in the corner with a mocktail, raised his glass. To the brave ones, but fate's a cruel editor. Late April, Nicholas collapsed at the sight, fever spiking, vision blurring. Opportunistic infection, the ER doc said. Toxoplasmosis, brain fog from the virus's old tricks. ICU again, monitors wailing, Nicholas intubated, a ghost in tubes. Brandon arrived breathless, Javier trailing, Mom already there, praying furious. He's fighting, she said, voice steel. Called your name in his sleep, vigil stretched. Days of Jell-O cups and bad coffee, nights of catnaps on fold-out chairs. Javier held space, reading aloud from Brandon's sketches, stories of two boys building forts in backyards, dreaming of escape. On day 5, Nicholas stirred, extubated, voice a croak. Sorry. Again, Brandon gripped his hand. Stop apologizing. Just live. Nicholas's eyes, clearing, locked on. I will. For you. For us. Rehab round 2, slower, fiercer. Nicholas journaled. spidery scrawl of regrets, hopes, sharing pages with Brandon over takeout pho. Wanna start a group? For guys like us, straight passing, scared straight. Brandon grinned. By Brothers Anonymous? I'm in. Summer bloomed. Javier and Brandon's wedding planning wove through. Venue hunt at Navy Pier. Vows scribbled on napkins at Greektown dives. Nicholas walked Brandon down the aisle. Cain be damned, in a lakeside ceremony, waves lapping like applause. Mom sobbed joyfully, Javier's family cheering in Spanish-English chorus. But the hidden truth's ripple hit deeper. Nicholas met Alex at the clinic, a wiry accountant with a dry wit and matching tattoo of a phoenix. First coffee turned to dates. Walks in Grant Park. Lincoln Park Zoo laughs. He's good for me, Nicholas confided one night. Beers on Brandon's balcony. Non-alcoholic for him, amber for the rest. About time, Brandon teased. Clinking bottles. Javier draped an arm over both. The city lights a constellation below. Yet betrayals echo lingered, not from Nicholas, but within. A coworker at Pixel Forge, outed by a leaked email chain, faced demotion. Brandon rallied, organizing a diversity push, but the sting revived old wounds. Think it'll ever stop? He asked Javier, tangled in sheets post-love. Javier kissed his temple. Progress, baby. One fight at a time. Nicholas's group took root. Meetings in a community center basement. Folding chairs and styrofoam coffee. Men swapping stories of closets and collapses. He spoke first. I humiliated my brother to hide from myself. Almost lost everything. But truth? It's the only beam that holds. Brandon attended once. Incognito in the back. Pride swelling. Afterward. Beers at Hop Leaf. You're a natural. Bro. Nicholas flushed. Learned from the best. Fall circled back. Leaves turning fiery. Nicholas's one-year scan. Undetectable. Thriving. He proposed to Alex under the bean. Millennium Park aglow. Double wedding talk bubbled. Practical. Mom insisted. One big party. But climax brewed in shadows. A rival crew at the site, jealous of Nicholas's promotion, unearthed his diagnosis, HIPAA breach, whispers turning to shouts. AIDS boy on the beam? Safety hazard. Foreman called him in. Sorry, Nick. Company's hands tied. Betrayal. Fresh and vicious. Nicholas came to Brandon's door. Rain-soaked. Defeated. They fired me. For this. Rage boiled. Brandon pulled him inside. Javier fetching towels. We'll sue. Elena knows lawyers. No. Nicholas sank to the couch. I'm done hiding. Gonna tell em face to face. Own it. The confrontation. Site office. Crew assembled. Nicholas on crutches no more. Standing tall. Yeah. I'm positive. Been fighting since before half of you started swinging hammers. Doesn't make me weak, it makes me survivor. Fire me if you want. But know this. I'm not ashamed. Silence. Then applause, scattered at first. Swelling. The foreman backpedaled. Union rep stepped in. Job saved. Respect earned. That night. Family dinner. Extended now. Alex at the table. Javier's hand in Brandon's. Toasts to truths unveiled. To brothers unbroken. Winter gripped Chicago like a vice. The wind off the lake howling through the L tracks. Frosting windows with intricate lace. Brandon and Javier's honeymoon had been a stolen week in Key West, salty breezes, conch fritters, nights tangled in hammocks under stars that felt infinite. But reality reasserted upon return. Snowdrifts piled high, the agency's holiday crunch, and Nicholas's quiet unraveling. It started subtle. Missed group meetings. Alex's worried texts. He's pulling away again. Then the call. 3 a.m. Nicholas's voice slurry over the line. Brand. Can't breathe. Chest. Tight. Brandon bolted awake. Javier already dialing 911. By the time paramedics breached the door, Alex fumbling keys, face ashen, Nicholas was gray, clutching his sternum. Heart strain. The ER whispered. Stress cardiomyopathy. Broken heart syndrome. The virus's cruel tag team with grief's backlog. ICU redux. But this time, Nicholas rallied slower, eyes haunted when awake. Thought I beat it, he murmured to Brandon. Monitors a steady beep. But the sight stares. Alex looking at me like I'm glass. You're not, Brandon fierce whispered, squeezing his hand. You're steel. Alex paced the hall, a bundle of nerves in his wool peacoat. 35, bespectacled, the kind of guy who quoted Vonnegut over brunch. He promised no more walls. Then this. Javier mediated, herding them to the cafeteria for vending machine coffee. Give him grace. Healing's not linear. Upstairs, therapy bloomed reluctant. Nicholas journaled fury. Pages of why me, scrawled in caps. Evolving to why not. Brandon read aloud during visits. Javier adding doodles, cartoons of Nicholas as a caped crusader. Virus as defeated foe. Discharge brought protocols, cardiologist check-ins. Low-stress gigs via temp agency. Nicholas tempied at a nonprofit, digitizing archives for the Chicago History Museum, dusty photos of Prohibition raids. Great migration tales. Feels right, he told Brandon over deep dish at Lou Malnati's. Cheese strings dangling like lifelines. Stories like ours hidden, but there. Alex thawed. Their dates resuming. Art Institute wanderings. Hands linked past Monet's lilies. But doubt lingered. The third wheel. One night, post-dinner at Ming Hin, Alex cornered Brandon on the sidewalk, neon reflecting in puddles. He loves me, says it. But I see the flinch when I touch him, like he's bracing. Brandon sighed. City hum a backdrop. Trauma's a bitch. Give him time. Time's what I fear running out of, Alex replied, voice small. Spring equinox brought renewal. Nicholas's group expanded. Virtual sessions for out-of-towners, sponsored by Howard Brown. He keynoted a small pride event in Uptown, nerves jangling, but voice steady. I shamed my gay brother to silence my own screams, until a hospital bed stripped the lies. We're all just trying to love without apology. Applause thundered. Brandon, in the front row with Javier, whooped loudest. After beers at Hopleaf, Nicholas high on adrenaline. Felt free. You were, Javier said, clinking his cider. Proud as hell, but romance's underbelly stirred. Javier's school year wound down. Whispers of a principal gig in Milwaukee. Better pay. Stability. It's an hour commute, he assured Brandon over backyard beers. Fireflies dancing. We'd make it work. Brandon's gut twisted. And if it's not? Long distance on top of everything. Javier pulled him close. We're solid. Trust that. Nicholas sensed the rift. cornering Brandon at the gym, weights clanking, mirrors fogged. Trouble in paradise? Brandon grunted through a set of deadlifts. Javi's job offer. Out of state. Nicholas nodded, spotting him. Talk it out. Don't let fear win, like I did. Easier preached. Tension simmered. Late nights, Javier grading papers, Brandon sketching alone, silences stretching like taffy. The betrayal came quiet, a found email chain. Javier's replies to the principal, excited to discuss relocation package. No heads up, no us in the equation. Brandon confronted over breakfast, avocado toast cooling, sun slanting through blinds. You're moving. Us. Javier's face crumpled. I was gonna surprise, better school for us, starting a family fund. But yeah, I pictured you coming. Without asking? Hurt laced Brandon's words, sharp as Lake Street traffic. After Nick's secrets, you pulled this. Javier reached, but Brandon recoiled. I thought we were partners. Not plot twists. Space followed. Javier crashing at a colleague's, Brandon burying in work, a national campaign for a queer youth hotline, billboards screaming you are enough across billboards from Seattle to Miami. Elena noticed the hollows under his eyes. Heart stuff? Take the week. Recharge. He didn't. Instead, road trip solo. Aimless drive up 94. Stopping at diners in Kenosha, sketching rusted silos under vast skies. Calls to Nicholas, voicemails of miss you, bro holding down the fort. Nicholas showed at the apartment unannounced, Alex in tow with takeout bags. Intervention, he declared, breezing in. You mope. We eat. Giordano's rules. They sprawled on the couch. Deep dish demolished. Netflix paused on some rom-com irony. Nicholas prodded gentle. Javi's an idiot, but he's yours. Fix it. Brandon poked at crust. Scared he'll bolt when it gets hard. Like everyone. Not him. Nicholas firm. And not you. Remember the ER? You showed. That's love. Alex chimed. Communication, not assumption. We learned that the hard way. Reconciliation brewed over days. Texts escalating to coffee at Ipsento's. Javier's apologies handwritten on notebook paper. I jumped the gun. You're my home, not a zip code. They talked till throats rasped. Fears of complacency. Dreams of kids via surrogacy. The pull of roots versus wings. Forgiven? Javier asked, thumb brushing Brandon's. With conditions, Brandon teased. No more solo adventures. Summer solstice wedding for Nicholas and Alex. Rooftop affair at the Roby. Skyline glittering. String lights swaying. Vows exchanged in Polish and English. Tears and laughter mingling. Brandon best manned. Toast laced with brotherly rib. Nick taught me hate's just fear in a cheap suit. Now look, suited up. Loved up. Honeymoon for the newlyweds. Train to New York. Broadway and bagels. Back home. Brandon and Javier dove into IVF talks. Freezer full of hope. Appointments at Northwestern Fertility. But autumn's chill carried omens. Nicholas's routine scan. Blip on the radar. Lymphoma shadow. Early, docs assured. Chemo's curative. Yet the word cancer landed like an anvil, compressing lungs. Treatment gauntlet. Infusions at the Loops Outpatient Center. Nicholas barfing in alley bins. Alex rubbing his back. Brandon rotated shifts. Javier bringing ginger chews and audiobooks, Steinbeck's Road Tales for escape. One chemo eve. Nicholas confessed over hospital jello. If it goes south, tell the group my story. Let it help. Brandon's throat closed. It won't. You're kicking this. Nicholas gripped his wrist. Promise anyway. And Brand? That night I humiliated you? Worst of me. Best thing that happened. Pushed me to truth. Tears fell unbidden. Love you. Bro. Back. Always. Remission flickered winter's end. Scans clear. Hair stubs returning like defiant grass. Group swelled, 50 strong. Podcast in talks. Nicholas guested on a local NPR spot. Voice steady. HIV isn't the end. It's the edit that sharpens the story. Spring burst. Cherry blossoms in Jackson Park. Family picnic with frisbees and potato salad. Javier's Milwaukee offer declined. Chicago's got my heart. Promotion instead at his school. Head of Arts Integration. But the true climax crested Memorial Day weekend. Nicholas's crew threw a barbecue. Backyard in Berwyn. Grills smoking ribs. Kids darting through sprinklers. Beers flowed. Stories swapped. Until a newcomer ex-military, buzzcut and baggage, cornered Nicholas by the cooler. Heard you're the fag foreman. Careful. Don't drop the soap on sight. Laughter from a knot of guys. But Nicholas didn't flinch. Name's Nick. Positive since '08. And yeah, gay as hell. Got a problem? Say it to my face. The air crackled. Newbie sneered. AIDS? You're a liability. Then betrayal's blade. The foreman, who'd sworn loyalty post-firing scare, chuckled. Kids got spirit. But rules are rules, HR's reviewing. Dismissal loomed again. Uglier. Nicholas stormed home. Alex trailing apologies. I trusted him. Brandon arrived. Javier with legal pads. We fight. Union. SCLU whatever. No. Nicholas's eyes blazed. Public. My way. Press conference next dawn. Outside the site. Cameras from WGN and Sun-Times. Crew milling awkward. Nicholas. Suit crisp. Cane for flair. Fired for who I am. Who I love. How I live. But I built the skyline. Brick by blood. Discriminate against me? You're tearing down America. Viral overnight. Hashtags stand with Nick. Op-eds in Tribune. Calls from senators. Union rep backpedaled. Company settled back pay. Promotion to supervisor. Diversity training mandated. That night, brothers on the porch. Stars pricking the haze. You did it, Brandon said. Beers clinking. We did, Nicholas soft. Hidden truth? Best plot twist. The fallout from the presser rippled like a stone in Lake Michigan. Waves lapping far shores. Nicholas fielded interview requests from podcasters in LA to bloggers in Brooklyn. His story a beacon for the marginalized. It's not hero shit, he'd grumble to Brandon over phone. Voice tinny from speaker. Just tired of the bullshit. But glory's gleam faded quick. Side effects from paused chemo crept back. Fatigue dogging his steps. Night sweat soaking sheets. Alex hovered. A devoted shadow. But cracks showed. Arguments over pill schedules. Silence as thick as fog off the Adler Planetarium. Brandon noticed first. At a group meeting in the church basement. Fluorescent hum underscoring confessions. Nicholas arrived late. I shadowed. Snapping at a newbie's query. Yeah. It's manageable until it's not. Next. Post-meet. Over greasy spoons at Walker Brothers. Brandon probed. Rough week. Nicholas forked pancakes. Syrup pooling. Alex wants kids. Surrogate talk. But with my history, what if I pass something on? Brandon leaned in. Meds make it impossible. Undetectable means untransmittable. Science? Bro. Head knows. Heart's a bastard. The site. Plus, the site's walking on eggshells. Like I'm a mascot now. Javier, ever the mediator, suggested therapy, couple sessions at the center on Halstead. Nicholas balked. Shrink couch? Pass. But Alex's plea won. For us. Sessions unearthed landmines. Nicholas's guilt over Dad's death. Internalized homophobia from altar boys and football fields. I prayed it away, he admitted one evening. Post-session beers on their balcony overlooking the Kennedy Expressway's crawl. Thought God cursed me for that Boys Town night. Brandon shook his head. God's got better aim. You're blessed. Us. Alex. This life. Summer sweltered. Humidity clinging like regret. Brandon and Javier's surrogacy journey hit a milestone. Embryo transfer scheduled. A calendar circle in hopeful red. Our kid, Javier whispered in bed. Hands splayed over Brandon's abdomen. Little artist or tiny teacher. Excitement bubbled, tempered by Nicholas's dip. A follow-up scan. Lymphoma whispers again. Watchful waiting, the doc's euphemism for hold your breath. Nicholas downplayed, just shadows, but Alex's face said otherwise. Betrayal struck insidious. A leaked clinic note, anonymized but obvious, splashed on a construction forum. HIV foreman endangering crew? Trolls piled on. Death threats pinging Nicholas's inbox. The company caved. Suspension pending review. For safety. Rage imploded at family dinner. Mom's kitchen. Pot roast cooling. Nicholas hurling his plate. They used my truth as a weapon. After everything. Mom crossed herself. Lord, give us strength. Brandon stood. Lawyer up. Now. But Nicholas bolted. Truck roaring into the night. Hours later. A text. At the lake. Need space. Brandon drove. Javier shotgun. Headlights carving darkness to Indiana dunes. Found Nicholas on the shore. Stones skipping across black water. Moon a sliver overhead. Remember Dad teaching us this? He said. Voice raw. Brandon nodded. Joining the skips, plink. Plink. Yeah. Said it was like life, skip or sink. Nicholas hurled one hard. I'm sinking. No. Brandon fierce. You're skipping. Farther each time. They talked till dawn. Fears of legacy. Love's fragility. Nicholas confessed the deepest cut. Scared I'll die alone. Truth be damned. Brandon pulled him into a hug. Salt wind whipping. Not happening. Promise. Resolution brewed slow. Union lawyers circled wagons. Media storm turned tide. Op-eds praising Nicholas's courage. Protests at City Hall. Suspension lifted. Back pay tripled. HR overhaul. Fall foliage framed healing. Nicholas and Alex's sessions bore fruit. Decision to foster first. Teens. Kids who get the struggle. First placement. Jamal. 16. Trans kid from the South Side. Wary eyes softening over pickup basketball at Washington Park. Family, Nicholas said. Watching Jamal dunk. Grin rare. Real deal. Brandon's turn. Transfer day. Clinic sterile as hope. Javier held his hand through the wait. Breathe. Amor, 2 weeks of Pinterest nurseries and what-if whispers. Positive test. Elation. Tears soaking the ultrasound gel. Our daughter, the text said. Heartbeat a gallop. News spread. Mom's novena candles lit triple. Nicholas toasting with sparkling cider. Auntie Nick's on duty, but winter's grip tightened. Nicholas's shadows grew. Biopsy confirmed. Low grade. Aggressive chemo round 2. Infusions hit harder. Nausea a constant companion. Hair shedding like autumn leaves. Vigil redux. Brandon balancing daddy prep, crib assembly, onesie hauls with hospital runs. Javier stepped up. School duties juggled. Belly rubs for the bump. We're a team, he'd say, kissing Brandon's temple. One infusion night, Nicholas gripped Brandon's hand. Chemo drip steady. If I don't make it, be the brother I couldn't. You will, Brandon choked. But yeah. Always. Remission danced elusive. But Nicholas fought, group leading from his bed via Zoom. Fostering Jamal through video calls. Alex's devotion unyielding. Love's the best med, he joked. For Pole his sidekick. Spring birthed Elena. Tiny. Fierce. Dark curls like Javier's. Green eyes Brandon's legacy. Hospital room bloomed with balloons. Mom cooing Polish lullabies. Nicholas wheeled in. Pale but beaming. Cradling her. Hey, niece. Uncle's got stories for you. Jamal hovered shy. She's perfect. Discharge for all. Home to the 2-bedroom in Ukrainian village. Walls painted sage. Mobile of stars twirling. Nights of feedings. Days of discovery. Elena's first cry a symphony. Nicholas's chemo wrapped. Final scan clear. Celebration at the Wiener's Circle. Chardogs piled high. To survivorship, Alex toasted. Arm around Nicholas. But the emotional undercurrent surged. Jamal's bio-mom surfaced. Rehabbed. Seeking custody. Court loomed. Nicholas's heart fracturing. We gave him home. Now what? Brandon. Elena nursing in the rocker. Advised, fight fair. Love doesn't lose. Hearings dragged. Affidavits of stability. Jamal's tearful testimony. They see me. Really see. Judge ruled kinship. Permanent guardianship. Family intact. Summer climaxed in a backyard vow renewal. Nicholas and Alex. Jamal best man. Elena gurgling in a bassinet. In sickness. In health. Nicholas vowed. Voice thick. Truth unveiled. Forever. Brandon teared up. Javier's hand warm. Beautiful. Fall brought full circle. Nicholas's podcast launched. Unhidden. Episodes raw. His bar fight with Brandon. Our epiphany. Sight stand. Listeners flooded. You saved me. One eve. Brothers on the pier. Elena in a stroller. Waves lapping. That hook. The humiliation? Best bad start, Nicholas said. Brandon laughed. Damn right. Led here. The podcast's buzz crested like a wave-off Navy pier, download spiking. Invites to queer summits in San Francisco. Even a TEDx slot in the works. Nicholas demurred the travel. Chemo flashbacks. No thanks. But the validation soaked in. A bomb on scars long picked. Who knew spilling guts paid? He quipped to Brandon over FaceTime. Background the hum of his new office. Site superintendent. Overseeing the Obama library build. Iron beams rising like phoenix wings. Life layered thicker. Elena toddled now. chubby fists grabbing Javier's pant legs. Her babbles a bilingual mash, English coups, Spanish snippets from Abuelita visits. Brandon's agency thrived. He helmed a non-profit arm, pro bono for LGBTQ+ orgs, campaigns that turned stats into stories. Javier's arts program flowered, murals in school halls, kids painting pride flags with fearless strokes. Nicholas and Alex's home pulsed. Jamal, 17, acing AP Lit, college apps to UIUC, foster slots rotating, twins from Englewood, a runaway named Riley with blue-streaked hair. Full house. Alex laughed at holiday gatherings, table groaning under turkey and tamales. Mom presided, rosary pocketed, toasting to miracles, modern and divine, but undercurrents swirled. A decade post-diagnosis, Nicholas's checkups hummed routine, but paranoia nipped, every cough a specter, every ache an alarm. Therapy unpacked it. Survivor's guilt, the counselor said. You outlived the odds. Now live without the shadow, easier mapped than hiked. A work retreat in the Wisconsin Dells, team-building ropes courses, bonfires cracked the facade. Teammates, once wary, now brothers in arms, pressed for stories. Nicholas shared the bar night, the ER veil lift, voice steady till a junior crew kid asked, regret coming out? Silence stretched, fire crackling. Nah. Regret the years wasted hating the mirror. Back in Chicago, the confession lingered, stirring unrest. Alex noticed first. Nicholas distant at dinners, staring at Jamal's homework like lost code. Talk to me, Alex urged one night, wine glasses sweating on the nightstand. Nicholas paced, carpet muffling. What if I taint them, the kids, the crew? My truth a curse. Alex pulled him down, hands framing face. Your truth's a gift. Saved lives, mine included. Call to Brandon. 1 a.m. Spiraling. Bro. Meet at the old spot. O'Malley's. Ghost of humiliations past. Neon still buzzing, but barstool scuffs worn deeper. They claimed the corner booth. Whiskey's neat, soda for Nick. That night, Nicholas started. Ice clinking. I was drowning. Dad gone. World closing. You walking in, like a flare, bright, unafraid. Made me see my dark. Brandon swirled amber. And now, still dark. Nah. Grayscale. Maybe. Working on color. A beat. Miss Dad. Wish he knew us, the real us. Brandon nodded, throat tight. He did. That Sox game? He squeezed my hand when I teared up over some stupid kiss cam. Love's love. Kid. Never said it outright. But. Revelation settled soft. A missing puzzle click. They toasted ghosts. Laughter bubbling as regulars nodded. O'Malley's evolved. Rainbow stickers on the jukebox. Winter solstice brought the storm. Nicholas collapsed mid-sight walkthrough, vision tunneling, chest seizing. Stroke, mini, ischemic, the clot a virus holdover. Our lights blurred. Alex's screams distant. Brandon racing from a client lunch. Javier minding Elena. ICU cage again. But Nicholas woke combative. Slurred fury at the unfairness. Why now? Just when? Rehab fierce. Speech therapy mangling consonants. PT relearning gait. Fucking baby steps, he growled. But Jamal's visits, reading Vonnegut aloud, softened edges. Elena's giggles via video. Fist bumps from Javier. Warrior mode. Uncle Nick. The betrayal. Internal this time body's mutiny. Docs mapped it. Stress triggered. Manageable with thinners. Lifestyle tweaks. You're resilient, the neurologist said. Built for this. Spring thaw mirrored mending. Nicholas adapted. Voice smoother. Stride steadier. Podcast episodes from a home studio, stroke side stories. Vulnerability raw. Listeners surged. Your grit? My North Star. Family wove tighter. Elena's first birthday. Park picnic. Cake smeared on chins. Nicholas blowing bubbles with adapted wand. To more, he toasted. Eyes on Jamal. Now college-bound. Acceptance letter framed. But the emotional apex crested June. Pride Month march down Halstead. Nicholas. Cane a rainbow sash. Led a contingent. Crew mates. Group alums. Alex and Jamal flanking. Brandon pushed Elena's stroller. Javier's hand linked. Mom marching with her love wins sign. Rosary dangling. Crowd roared as they passed. Chants of Nick, Nick, from viral fame. Float beats thumped. Glitter rained. But Nicholas paused at the bar corner. O'Malley's stoop, pulling Brandon aside. Full circle. Ha! Brandon grinned. Tears pricking. From punchline to parade, confetti swirled. A brotherly hug amid cheers. Love you, queer, Nicholas murmured. Back. Survivor. Summer deepened bonds. Nicholas mentored at the center. Youth group for queer construction hopefuls. Build safe spaces. Literal and not. Alex proposed expansion. Adoption agency partnership. Kowalski clan a haven. Fall harvest. Elena's words. Unca Nick. Melting him. Javier's tenure track. Brandon's book deal for campaign tales. Nicholas's all-clear scan. Party at the site. Beams lit festive. Foreman toasting to the man who framed us all. Yet the humanistic core pulsed quiet. One crisp eve. Brothers fishing at the lakefront. Rods idle. Beers cold. Nicholas turned. That hidden truth? Not just mine. Ours. Dad's. Maybe. Generations of quiet. Brandon cast. Line arcing. And now? Loud as hell. Nicholas reeled slow. Good loud. Winter wrapped gentle. Holiday light strung. Elena's eyes wide at tree glow. Dinner. Extended table. Toasts to unveiled hearts. Betrayals mended. Conflicts forged to strength. Climax's echo. A final podcast. Series finale. Nicholas's voice. Rich. Started with humiliation. Ended in revelation. Brothers' love. The real cure. Epilogue whispered in New Year snow. Nicholas. Alex. Jamal adopting a sibling set. Brandon. Javier eyeing baby 2. Mom's garden blooming defiant. Humanity's arc. Not perfection, but persistence. In America's heartland grit. 2 brothers scarred. Shining, proved love's plot unbreakable. Truth. Once hidden. Now horizon.